Today, I'm going to be showing you how you can master the backflip in just 24 hours. Now, most people won't be able to spend 24 hours in one day, just practicing a backflip. So we're going to be splitting this up into 4 days, 6 hours each. What's that? Well, you don't have time for that? Yeah, you do. If you're watching YouTube right now, then you certainly have time for that. If you don't think you do, then this ain't the channel for you. Go watch TikTok. Bye. Do you want me to put Subway Surfers on the video for you? Hours 1 and 2. We're going to spend these 2 hours learning the motions and getting over the fear, because for a normal person, you're not just going to be able to go right into, trying to actually learn the backflip. So we're going to start by just practicing the tuck jump. The tuck jump is where you jump up and you grab your knees and then jump down. This is very useful because it's basically the same thing as a backflip, but it's just without the flip. So it's a lot safer and a lot less scary, obviously. We're going to practice this motion. It's also going to strengthen your abs, it's going to strengthen your legs, which you're going to need before you actually do the backflip. After we're comfortable with the tuck jump, and I mean after you're really comfortable with it, I don't want it to look really bad. I want you to actually be able to tuck your knees up to your chest. We're going to be practicing the motion of going backwards by doing a makaku. A makaku is where you go basically over your shoulder and your hand is on the ground the entire time, so it's not scary. You're going to start in a squat position, and then you're going to look over your dominant shoulder and reach your hand back just like this. Now you're going to kick your body over so you fly backwards over yourself. This is also pretty similar to the motion of a backflip, but you have your hand on the ground to assist you, so it's not nearly as scary. Hours 3 and 4, we're going to be learning the motions better, perfecting your tuck through tuck jumps and perfecting your jump, all that good stuff. We're going to be spending the next 2 hours perfecting your jump and your tuck so that you're ready for the actual flip. We're going to work on more tuck jumps, but also practice your jump, squat down, and explode upwards whilst throwing your arms up. This explosive motion is extremely useful for the backflip, so I want you to practice it a lot. If you do have a trampoline, if you're lucky enough, then you can practice jumping onto your back and then pulling over. This is called a pullover, and it's going to get you very used to the motion of jumping backwards and, flipping. Hours 5 and 6, we're going to be learning the hack flip. The hack flip is basically a backflip where you're looking over your shoulder the entire time. This makes it a lot less scary because you don't have to worry as much about going backwards. It's very useful for beginners. I'd recommend starting this out on a trampoline. If you do have access to a trampoline, you absolutely should use it first. If you don't have a trampoline, that's probably fine. You're going to want to get some kind of pad though to protect yourself because it's going to be very useful. Alright, remember the makaku from about 2 hours ago? Hope you do, because the hack flip is basically just a makaku but without using your hand. You can practice this by first jumping onto your hand to finish the flip, and then gradually taking your hand away until you're barely using it, and then eventually you'll be doing a backflip just without, touching your hand. And that's all we need for the day. You're 6 hours in, you're probably pretty tired, assuming you've been following what I've been telling you to do. Day 2, hour 7, cumulatively. We're going to spend this next first hour of the day warming up by practicing our tuck jumps, box jumps, and squats. If you have a trampoline, we're also going to practice by doing pullovers. If you're practicing backflip, it's actually vital that you are very warmed up when you're doing it, because just the slightest mistake and you fall, and if you're not warmed up, falling could mean that you're out for the day. It's not good. Okay, now that we're done with our warm-up, hours 8 and 9, we're going to spend the next 2 hours dedicated to practicing the hack flip. Since the hack flip is very similar, you want to get used to that motion as much as you can before you actually commit to going backwards. At this point, we can actually start tucking our legs to make it easier to go over, if you haven't already learned to do that. Now, hours 10 to 12. These next 2 hours are probably the scariest part of the entire thing. We are going to focus gradually flipping over our head more and more until we're actually going backwards. This is the scariest part, so if you feel any fear at all, make sure you're taking it as slow as you can, and you're going at your own pace. I say 2 hours here, but you can take 3, 4, 69, as much as you want, as many hours as you want. I want you to get used to this motion. And now you've done the scariest part, assuming you've actually went over backwards. You don't actually have to land it. Hours 13 to 14. We're going to be spending the next 10 to 20 minutes warming up before starting. Definitely spend that time. Stretch if you need to. Practice your box jumps, your tuck jumps, your squats. By this point, if you've actually been doing it for 3 days, your legs are going to be very sore, assuming you have not previously worked out or previously done acrobatics. So if you're feeling too sore, if you feel like you might actually hurt yourself because your legs are too weak, then it's fine. Just take a couple days. I feel like my hair is very messed up right now. We're going to be going right back to the hack flip and working more on gradually going over our head. If you did it once yesterday, that's great, but you're probably not going to be able to replicate it today. So we're going to be practicing working more and more on going backwards and perfecting our form, tucking nice. I feel like I need a hat. This is actually bad, my hair. Hour 15, we're going to be isolating our tuck. One of the biggest problems that I see with beginners is that their tuck is just absolute garbage. Most people do a puck, which is a tuck where you don't actually grab your knees. They'll just go over and then just try to tuck without grabbing their knees. And if you're Zac Efron and you have a very strong core, you got abs, maybe that'll work. Maybe you'll be able to hold your legs up. But if you're a mere mortal, then you're not going to be able to hold your legs up the entire way through. Centrifugal force, it's going to try to force you to open your legs up, so you want to have your arms tucking your legs because you're probably very weak. So you're going to make sure that when you go up, you grab your knees and you tuck them as close to your chest as you possibly can. One of the telltale signs I look for whenever I see someone doing flips of whether or not they're good is how good their tuck is. Because if someone's good, you can immediately tell because they have a really nice tight tuck. And if someone's bad, someone's very new to flips, it's also easy to tell because they never tuck. I don't know why, but you know, people don't do it. Hour 16, we're focusing on spotting. What is spotting? That's a great question. I'm going to answer it. You're going to spend this next hour making sure that you're looking at a 45-degree angle up as you're taking off. This is going to ensure that you get as much height as possible. Spotting is basically where you're looking as you're doing the flip. When you sink down to jump, make sure your chest is facing up the entire time. A big issue I see with beginners is they'll have their chest facing down, and it's like, you know, how do you expect to jump up and flip high if your chest is facing down? I don't get it. But yeah, focusing on keeping your chest up and looking up at a 45-degree angle will ensure that you're getting a lot of height when you do your backflip. Hours 17 to 18. These hours you are going to dedicate to getting as much height as you possibly can out of the flip. The majority of the time here is going to be perfecting your technique for jumping to get as much height as you possibly can. When you sink down and jump, once again, make sure that your chest is facing up, head 45-degree angle. We've been over this. But as you're jumping, make sure you're throwing your arms up till at least when they're past your head. This is going to ensure that you maximize the amount of height you get from your arms, because throwing your arms is actually one of the most important parts of the flip. If you don't throw your arms, a lot of people struggle to do even basic flips. Like if I were to get up and try to do a backflip right now with my hands in my pockets, I'd probably land on my face, like actually land on my face. Make sure you're focusing on throwing your arms. This is another thing I see with beginners. A lot of the time, they'll just whip themselves back, and it's like, you know, are you really surprised that you're not landing your backflip? But yeah, just throw your arms. It fixes pretty much everything. Day 4, hour 19. Now, after the first 18 hours, we probably have a very solid foundation, and the backflip looks pretty decent. It looks okay. A lot of people think backflip takes a very long time to learn, but the reality is you can learn it in just a couple days, a couple hours. So at this point, you are probably landing it 90% of the time with relative ease. If not, that's fine. Just go and practice steps over again. You'll probably get it pretty soon, you know. But remember, we're here to master the backflip in 24 hours. So we're going to be perfecting our technique today. We're going to be perfecting everything. A perfect backflip looks as I'm about to explain. Pick an object roughly 45 degrees above your head and look at it. Look, you're going to look at it until you no longer can, until you've rotated enough that no matter what you do, you can't see it. This seems complicated, but after you get used to the muscle memory of the backflip, it's second nature. Now you're going to bend your knees while keeping your chest straight and bringing your arms down. Explode into the jump and by throwing your arms up as high as you can and extending your legs. Once your arms have hit their peak height, you're going to grab your knees and pull them to your chest while you rotate backwards. Once you've rotated enough that you can no longer see the object at 45 degrees, you can forget about it and start looking for the ground. Not to be confused with chucking your head backwards. That's how you get whiplash. Just as soon as you see the ground, that's when you know you can open up your legs. At this point, all of that might seem like information overload, but I promise you, in about 6 hours, they should all be second nature. This entire day is going to be dedicated to just drilling the backflip over and over and over again. Eventually, you'll get too tired to keep doing it on ground. At this point, you can either take a break or, you know, go practicing on trampoline. Day 4, hour 24. At this point, if you stuck to everything I said in this video, you should have a pretty damn solid backflip that will impress not only people that have no idea how to do a backflip, but some people that actually do know how to do a backflip. Now that you can do it, you know, welcome to the club. You now possess a skill that very few people can do, and you can do it at anywhere and anytime. Yeah, you know, you get all the bitches now, obviously, we all know this. And now that you can do it in front of other people, you can expect these following responses pretty much on repeat. It's like a bunch of people just have the same pre-programmed responses to seeing someone do a flip every single time. And these are those. Whoa, dude. If I tried that, I'd break my neck. Excuse me, young man, you need to stop. You need to stop, because you're going to break your neck. You know, back in my day, I could do that. Whoa, do that again, do that again, do that again. You can expect all those responses.